A client comes to see you, talks about his problem. He's anchored to the chair. I've gone over this a little before. Every time he sits in the chair, he is anchored to the past description, his problem, in other words. All you need to have are good standby anchors that you can activate when you need them. Work that one out. So that you can fire the anchor and he will feel different. Anchors are powerful. Everyone who goes to a hypnotist, a psychotherapist, or whatever is a victim of anchoring. Painful, limiting problem was set up by a certain situation in the past or a set of happenings. And from then, every time those happenings or the situation are repeated, the problem shows itself. And every time that the person talks of his problem, wherever he talks of it, that problem is anchored to that spot. Anchors can be set up in any of the sensory systems, remember. You are being anchored all your life without being aware of it. Anchors are being put on you all the time, including now, by me, by everyone you meet, everything that happens to you and around you. And all of it, in fact, no, almost all of it, is being done covertly, below the level of consciousness. Things are being done to us that we are not aware of it. You've been feeling a bit low, a bit depressed, and you've gone out for a walk, and suddenly you felt better, for no reason at all, or at least for no known reason. You know, it's possible an anchor was activated. Maybe an aircraft went over, and at the same time a dog barked, and immediately you accessed a good feeling from your past when a long scrapped aircraft went over, and a long dead dog barked. In other words, a certain combination of sounds activated a good memory from the past. You became aware of the good feeling and you were no longer depressed. Created anchors are powerful, every bit as powerful as those that have been set up inadvertently. And you can set them up overtly or covertly, and use any of the sensory system. Using self-hypnosis to improve the self-image. A human brain actually does behave very like a computer in many of its functions, especially that part of the brain which operates outside of consciousness. It's programmed to operate the autonomic nervous system, the ANS. It can carry out at lightning speed and with amazing accuracy the calculations of speed and distance involved in all motor movements. Remember I talked about the cricket match. It has a memory bank, and when a particular memory is summoned into consciousness, the appropriate neural pathways are activated. Now, skills can be practiced consciously until they become programmed at the autonomic or unconscious level. An inborn Instinctive patterns of behavior are programmed in the unconscious and activated in the presence of appropriate stimuli. Most important of all for the present purpose, attitudes towards the world, maps of the world, assumptions and beliefs about the world, propositions, concepts of the self, that's the self-image, are formed as the result of conscious experience, but impress themselves upon the unconscious, become programmed there, and determine what we feel and do at the spontaneous level. Most of the time there is more than one neural pathway that can be activated, so that we have a paradox of unconscious choice. That is, being able to select the most appropriate reaction while at the same time remaining spontaneous. But if it becomes too strong, it tends to be activated when it's not appropriate, and then we have a neurosis. To say that human beings have computers is a very different statement from saying that human beings are computers. A computer can only do what it's programmed to do. It pursues aims that are imposed upon it. It can't set its own goals, and it cannot conceive of values. Whether it's programmed to build a motor car or guide a hydrogen bomb onto a city is a matter of complete indifference to a computer. Funnily enough, the unconscious has the same character, same servile and amoral character. The essential point about a human being is that he not only owns a computer, but is capable of programming it himself. And the programming involves choice, intention, values, goals, all the things, in short, which no computer has or is ever likely to have. It is the conscious mind. That part of the mind in which man is aware of his own identity, that he performs those mental activities which provide the computer unconscious with its aims. And what is it more than anything else which sets and limits the goals which the unconscious serves? The self-image. Now, the self-image is an act of creative imagination. A teacher tells a youngster at school, let's call him Jimmy, that he's no good at maths. Jimmy, you're no good at maths. It would be more true to say that he hadn't been listening at some crucial moment of explanation. The idea that Jimmy is no good at maths is an opinion, not a fact. But Jimmy might very easily seize upon her opinion and imagine it to be a fact. Now, this so-called fact sinks into the unconscious, especially if it keeps being repeated, and Jimmy has built a limitation into his self-image. His unconscious will stop seeking success in that particular field and probably adopt an avoidance strategy. On the other hand, Sarah, another little child, might write a poem which teacher praises. From then on, she imagines that she is good with words. That notion is built into her self-image, and her unconscious obediently supplies her with literary ideas. If a person sees himself as a depressed victim, the unconscious will adopt depression as a goal and supply a wealth of gloomy thoughts and negative emotions, apparently from nowhere. But if a person sees himself or herself as happy and achieving, the unconscious will oblige by popping cheerful thoughts and clever solutions into the mind. The self-image is the great goal setter in life, and the unconscious is its obedient robot. But if the self-image is the product of imagination working upon experience, it follows that an active, creative, and directed imagination can alter and improve the self-image. and that clearly has implications for the whole quality of one's life. It means that, if one goes about it in the right way, one can go through the power of imagination, or can, through the power of imagination, rather, give oneself the sort of self-image that will make possible the happy pursuit of worthwhile aims. So much for the idea that a person is the passive slave of conditioning or the helpless victim of childhood trauma. Now, a computer programmer sets up his machine but doesn't interfere with its actual working. He knows that once it's programmed, the computer is much more efficient than he is at the particular operation to be performed. That's the whole point in having a computer programmer, or a computer rather, sorry. It's just the same with the conscious mind and the unconscious mind. The conscious mind can select worthwhile aims for the unconscious mind to pursue. It can also pursue the limited range of goals that are amenable to the analytical and logical approach. But in the pursuit of most goals, the conscious mind can do no more than determine the aim. It cannot directly influence or control the way in which the unconscious pursues the adopted goal, and too much conscious striving is a bit like sticking a spanner into a computer while it's operating. Conscious mind must simply trust the unconscious to supply the needed ideas and emotions. If those ideas and emotions are slow in coming, the conscious mind can only wait patiently until the unconscious is ready to deliver. He might perhaps reinforce the programmed goal from time to time, but he can never assist the unconscious or tell it how to do its work. By definition, the unconscious is beyond the reach of the conscious anyway. Hypnotic trance is, from this point of view, a state of mind in which the conscious mind is concentrating inwards. That's where programming takes place. And the unconscious mind is particularly active and also receptive to suggested goals. The adoption of new goals often implies the scrapping of old ones, of course. The instrument used by the conscious to program the unconscious is imagination. And the most powerful kind of imagination for this purpose is visual imagination. Artificially induced hypnosis, whether a hetero or auto, is simply a speeding up and intensification of the natural process of updating goals, which is called maturation. So what are the techniques by which the conscious mind can program the unconscious mind, otherwise set it goals? Erickson, when using self-hypnosis, used to leave it all very loose and vague. According to him, we go into auto-hypnosis in order to achieve certain conscious goals. Yet the conscious cannot tell the unconscious what to do. The conscious mind can structure a general framework